back from the hearing. We'll talk about the other stuff in just a moment, but once again, Luther Lebelo at the inquiry today. Remind us who he was, but then a lot of intricacy around an invoice, and a pretty big one at that.
So Luther Lebelo is head of employment relations, and he was said to be Tom Moyane's right-hand man. And he basically came to the commission today because about 2 weeks ago he claimed that he was unfairly treated and the commission was biased and didn't give him a fair opportunity.
In what way is he claiming he was unfairly treated?
Well, he claims that he was not given sufficient time and proper documentation to present his argument to the commission. Then you have a situation where last week Friday, investigating leader Advocate Steinberg said that she revealed that in actual fact Luther Lebelo was given an invoice of almost 1 million rand for him to prepare legal documents, and this was from David Mapakela. We just heard his representative speak, but David Mapakela presented these documents to Luther Lebelo, basically prepared these files for him to present to the commission. So today Luther Lebelo obviously had to answer to the commission as to how did he find this right to be invoiced almost 1 million rand. And he argued that he was completely shocked and surprised that he received this invoice. It was first 1 million rand, and he argued it, and it was dropped down to 759,000 rand. He claims that this has not been paid by SARS yet. He's still trying to argue it. And the commission basically saying, but how does a lawyer, an advocate, charge you 759,000 rand to prepare legal documents? I mean, surely there can't be that big figure on this.
And the answer to that was what? I mean,
he claimed that David Mapakela went above his mandate. So he basically says, Luther says that Mapakela built a case for Luther for this commission, which is it's quite confusing, Jeremy, because you have a situation where about 2 weeks ago Luther Lebelo constantly saying that he needs to clear his name and he needs sufficient time and assistance to clear his name, and 2 weeks later we hear how this came at a cost of almost 1 million rand of taxpayers' money, because at the end of the day SARS needs to sign off on that unless Luther Lebelo takes the bill, which, you know, till this day we don't know who's going to end up.
But we still don't know what a million rand or 750,000 rand buys in terms of preparation. Do we know what work was actually done?
So it was 5 files that were presented to the commission, files that Luther claims he needs to be given to the commission in order to clear his name.
But the contents of those files?
Yeah, so, I mean, the contents of these files, it's just about how, you know, Luther wants to show the commission how certain legal opinions were given to Tom Moyane and himself, how certain legal opinions weren't, and specifically around the rogue units. You know, Jeremy, the story is so complex, so there are so many elements to it, but specifically Luther needs to answer to elements when it comes to the so-called rogue units. And apparently he claims that you know, a rogue unit did exist, and he has evidence thereof, and he claims it's in these files.
So how did this go down with the commission itself?
Not good at all. I mean, that's why we ended so early today, because I think they reached a point where they just feel they have sufficient evidence and sufficient answers. Luther Lebelo also submitted an affidavit that the commission will deal with, but the judge at the end of the commission, just before it ended, said, we have more important issues to deal with, and that is to make sure that we take this revenue service forward. So, I mean, it was a situation of hearing what he had to say and then just taking it.
Are we done and dusted now with Luther Lebelo?
So he's handed in his affidavits and he's given his oral evidence today. The judge will obviously decide whether they will call him back, but I highly doubt it, because it's tomorrow and then 3 more days in November, unless they feel he needs to give more oral evidence.
Can we talk very quickly about Fabian Mari, if we can? So he's the acting chief officer for business and individual tax, in other words, a heavy hitter as far as the revenue service is concerned. He was speaking about missing leadership traits. That was SARS. What was he saying?
His very strong words were the fact that he told Tom, when Tom Moyane was the commissioner, he told Tom Moyane that all his executives are just like him. And by him saying that, he means that they all have the same view as Tom Moyane, and he strongly believes that as an executive team, team, you need to have some sort of diversity and some sort of different views coming to the table.
Well, robust disagreement makes for good management. Yes.
Exactly. And he was saying that there was none of that when it came to Tom Moyane and his executive team. And he said this created major problems because nobody could challenge him. And he explained, just like we've heard from so many witnesses in this commission, that when you are frank with Tom Moyane, you are the next hit man. So it's a situation of keep quiet and do your job. This is exactly what Fabian Mari explained, that he gave his opinion and it wasn't welcomed at all by the commissioner. So he put it out there and he said that there's a serious problem with this leadership that we have here at SARS.
Heidi Jokos, thank you very much.